Yağmur takes home Inspirational Actress of the Year. What unfolded when the cameras stopped? Welcome to my YouTube channel, Turkish Series Stars. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and show some love so you never miss a moment, friends. Today I'm unpacking one of the brightest triumphs of recent memory, a journey that has been buzzing across timelines and timelines again. The star of Eşref Rüya, the woman who's been shattering ratings with layered, soul-deep performances, has now been honored with a title that perfectly captures the effect she's had on audiences. Inspirational Actress of the Year at the 61st Golden Awards. I looked into the moments captured on stage and the ones whispered behind curtains, and yes, there's more than a few tender details, especially where Barış comes in. Yağmur's path has been a steady, undeniable ascent. From her earliest roles to the projects that introduced her to an international crowd, she's widened her reach with each season. But Eşref Rüya has become the compass point, the project that elevated her craft and carved out a space where she could be both fierce and vulnerable in a single breath. Portraying Nisan, she stepped into a character whose struggles echo in living rooms far beyond the set. Nisan doesn't feel like ink on paper. She feels like that friend who hides her trembling hands while putting on a brave face, the woman who swallows the ache and insists on standing tall. And each week, viewers see bits of themselves reflected in the tremor of her voice, in the silence between her words, in the minute gestures that say more than the dialogue ever could. When Eşref Rüya hit screens, the ripples became waves. Nisan's inner battles. The sorrow that sneaks up at dawn, the disappointments that rearrange her definition of home, the relentless push to find her balance again, all of it has set the conversation ablaze within the industry. What makes so many stop and watch isn't just the plot's twists, it's the sense that this character's heartbeat is real. Yağmur doesn't simply play Nisan, she inhabits her. She pays attention to the smallest details. How a hand rests on the edge of a chair, how a breath is held too long, how the eyes look at a window and don't really see the street beyond. That authenticity is what the audience gathers around. Naturally, the impact on digital platforms soared. After every episode, timelines fill with thoughts, tears, and praise. Twitter threads dissect scenes frame by frame, Instagram stories loop the most wrenching moments, and TikTok is a flood of edits and fan-made montages. Dialogue lines escape the episode and trend on their own. International fan pages translate clips within minutes, and suddenly Nisan's loneliness, courage, and spark are being shared in languages that blur borders. It's been inevitable, really. Yağmur's online presence has long been magnetic, but this role has set the magnet to full power. The follower count has climbed, the posts have trended first at home and then abroad, and the series itself has slipped into conversations from Spain to Brazil, Italy to the Arab world. On to the night that sealed it all. The 61st Golden Awards had that hum, the electric, gold-dusted energy that suggests big moments are about to happen. When the category was announced and Yağmur's name was called for Inspirational Actress of the Year, the room moved as one. Applause. Whistles. A wave of pride from the Eşref Rüya family that seemed to lift her as she stood. She walked to the stage with a calm that only made the emotion more powerful, and for a moment, it was like the entire hall held its breath. Her speech? It wasn't just sound bites and thanks. It was the kind of message that echoes. She said she grew up looking up to strong women and that if anyone looks to her now and finds fuel, she is grateful. She spoke gently but surely about being a mirror for young women who need reminders that resilience can be worn softly and still be iron-strong. Those words lit up every platform within minutes. What happened backstage might be my favorite part. Away from the spotlights, the atmosphere was warm, candid, and emotional. She hugged friends, laughed nervously as people told her to breathe, and leaned into the arms of those who know how much work lives behind the glitter. Co-stars came over in waves to congratulate her, and the Eşref Rüya team wrapped her up like family. And there was Barış, hovering just where the curtains fall, staying close but letting her have the moment she earned. He watched with that proud half-smile, the kind that says 1,000 private things without a single word. When she stepped down from the stage, he reached for her hand and pulled her into a long, quiet embrace. He whispered something that made her eyes shine even more. We couldn't hear what it was, but we could see it settle her heart. Later, he filmed little clips on his phone, the award cradled in her hands, the flowers piling up, the crew members cheering like a team after the final whistle. He let the spotlight stay on her and, in his way, brightened it. It's no secret the bond on the Eşref Rüya set is tested and strengthened by the material. The show's dramatic backbone asks a lot of its cast. Scenes are heavy, the emotional arc intricate, and every episode requires stamina that doesn't show up on a glam shot. Yağmur shares Nisan's traumas, her disappointments, her inner storms, and she does it with a precision that makes viewers forget there are cameras rolling. That truthfulness doesn't happen by accident. It comes from late-night script notes, early morning rehearsals, and conversations on set where she and the director pick apart a scene until every beat sounds like a real heartbeat. The director has said more than once that when Yağmur arrives at dawn, she's already halfway to becoming Nisan. Once the slate claps, the transformation is complete. Even when the camera cuts, she carries the residue of the scene for a few moments, letting it fade slowly rather than snapping out of it. That discipline, that care, it shows in every frame. Online, the congratulations rolled in like an avalanche after the ceremony. Fan accounts abroad produced tribute videos stitched together with their favorite Nisan moments. Turkish viewers filled the comments with phrases like "beyond well-deserved," "this is Yağmur's season," and "the heart of Eşref Rüya." The award didn't just vibrate through Ankara and Istanbul, it rang out worldwide. You could watch the wave move across time zones. First the celebratory midnight posts, then morning montages, then afternoon think pieces about why this performance matters. Let's talk about the red carpet. It was a fashion procession to remember, designers backstage adjusting hems and fastening clasps, stylists sending last-minute voice notes, photographers calibrating their flashes. The tempo changed the moment Yağmur arrived. There's always a prelude of expectation around her entrances, and she met it head-on with a look that was poised and modern, elegant without shouting. She chose a black dress that sculpted rather than hid, a silhouette that honored every line without tipping into excess. Off-the-shoulder lines framed her collarbones, a delicate drape traced the back with the kind of movement that looks effortless but takes ages to perfect, and the hand-beaded detailing caught the light like constellations. It was custom for the night, and those who'd been whispering all week that Yağmur will set the tone this year were vindicated instantly. Fashion watchers nodded, the headlines wrote themselves. Beside her, Barış kept it classic and clean. He let her take center stage, stepping aside so the cameras could drink in the look, then, when the flashes stuttered, he drew close just enough to rest a hand at the small of her back, steady and warm. After the ceremony, her interviews deepened the chord she struck on stage. She spoke again about the women who inspired her, the teachers, artists, relatives, strangers whose stories became anchors, and the responsibility she feels to carry that legacy forward in her own way. She said she wants her roles to hold space for complexity, tenderness, and grit. She smiled shyly when the interviewer asked what it meant to hear that teenagers see her as a model. Pride flickered through the humility. It's easy to call her a television star. It's harder, and truer, to say she's become a symbol of possibility. For Yağmur, Eşref Rüya isn't simply a job line on a resume. It's a chapter that's stretched her as an artist. She's pushed into corners of emotion she'd only glanced at before, analyzed scenes with a new intensity, and discovered shades of her craft that she didn't know she possessed. Nisan's fragility carries a weight unlike any role she's held previously. That's why the audience response feels seismic. It isn't only the cliffhangers or reveals, it's the unapologetic honesty of a woman piecing herself together under a microscope. It's no wonder social feeds fill with long captions about healing and strength after each episode. And it's not just fans, colleagues have been outspoken too, celebrating the risk-taking, the restraint, the way she lets silence do the talking. Back at home, Barış has been known to watch scenes twice, then tease her about making him cry in the middle of dinner, the kind of support that wraps the grind in warmth. In the days following the award, the momentum still hadn't slowed. Fashion houses sent flowers and handwritten notes. Directors from abroad called to congratulate her team. Streaming platforms highlighted Eşref Rüya in curated carousels. A charity announced that the influx of donations they received after her speech will fund mentorship programs for young women, a ripple effect that made her tear up during a later live broadcast. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the routine continued, script table reads, fittings, coffee cups cooling on marked-up pages. The work doesn't pause just because the accolades arrive, if anything, the expectations tighten like a bowstring. But watching her walk through this moment, you sense a woman grounded in gratitude and sharpened by responsibility. And there is the quieter love story woven through it all. Industry events can turn every gesture into a headline, but what stood out with Yağmur and Barış was the ease between them. No performance there. Just a steady partnership that bends around the demands of long shooting days and erratic schedules. He celebrated her without crowding her, she leaned on him without leaning away from herself. Later, when they slipped out of the venue, a few cameras caught them laughing about an inside joke, the award tucked safely in her hands, the night air lifting the hem of her dress. Not every victory is meant to be loud. Some are meant to be carried home, held close, and remembered in the quiet. So here we are at the end of another video, and this one felt especially luminous. We walked through how Yağmur Yüksel has been reshaping screens with Eşref Rüya, how the role of Nisan has turned into a cultural touchstone, how social media turned her performances into communal experiences, and how the 61st Golden Awards crowned the journey with a title that fits, Inspirational Actress of the Year. We watched the red carpet become a runway for confidence, saw the backstage moments where the truth lives, and listened to words that left a mark beyond applause. If you enjoyed the story, make sure you like the video, subscribe to Turkish series stars, and turn on notifications so you're the first to hear the latest. New chapters are already being written on set, and we'll be right here to bring you every heartbeat. Until next time, take care and see you soon.